Welcome to your post-work flow. This is also a class that will focus on releasing any tension in the lower back as requested by you guys. For today's class, you will need two props. You might need a belt or a strap. This is not really mandatory, but if in certain poses you have a hard time grabbing your toes or your feet, this is always helpful. And then you'll also need a block more towards the back or the end of the practice. So make sure you have something close by to prop underneath your hips later on in the class. For now, we're just going to go straight down onto your back. So just lower yourself down. Take a few moments here to make yourself comfortable. Just have your limbs stretched out. Maybe roll your shoulder blades under, and then see if you can tuck your tailbone a little bit under. So bringing your tailbone or directing it towards your toes. Allow the toes to fall out. Heels kind of go in. And we'll just take a few moments here just to relax, ground ourselves down. So take a few moments just to notice how you feel today. Notice the floor supporting you. And then see if you can fully release into the floor. So become aware of the whole back body, backs of the legs, backs of the hips, your spine, your arms, your shoulders, your head. All of it just releasing into the floor. So feel like the back side of your body is pretty relaxed and pretty tension free. Just bring your attention higher up towards the front of the body. And just notice what parts of the front of the body you're holding tension. For a lot of people, that will be the fronts of the shoulders here, just along the clavicles. See if you can relax those places as well. Another very common one is the fronts of the hips. So very deep down here at the fronts of the hips, we'll have a tendency to kind of crunch everything up. And that's actually the place that we're going to focus on most today, is releasing the psoas, the hip flexors, but we'll make sure to just do the whole hip and leg region, which is very closely related to your low back. So a lot of times tension in the low back is actually caused by muscles that are a bit shortened or that are a bit stressed down in the hips and the legs. So just bring your attention to the front of the hips here. Notice any spots that feel tender or tense. And then see if you can release them. You could start from the surface of the front of the hips and work your way down deeper into the hips. And just see how much pressure and tension you can release here, just by bringing your focus and your attention to it. You can allow the deeper pelvic floor muscles to relax. The inner thighs, outer hips. Notice how from the moment that the front of the hips start to relax, usually there will be already a bit of decrease of pressure in the low back. Just imagine your low back, the spinal discs of your low back kind of melting down into the floor. It's very normal to have a bit of space in between your low back and the floor here, so just allow that to be. But just see if you can relax that part of the body just a little bit more. See if you can bring the breath down towards the low back and the hips. smooth and even. Good. 3 more breaths. See if you can allow the body to become really heavy here. You could imagine a heavy blanket laying on top of you. Here, gently walk your feet in towards your hips with your knees pointing up towards the sky. Notice how usually when you do this, your lower back kind of starts arching, so place your hips a little bit further away from you and then back down to straighten out the low back just a little bit. You can walk your legs together for now and then press your hips a little bit off towards the left side and then bring your knees down towards the right. And then just extend your arms sideways. If you don't have the space to fully extend the arms, just bring them at a 90-degree angle. Just allow your legs and your knees to part here if they want to. You could even separate the feet if that feels better. So this can be a sloppy twist here. Don't think too much about what it's supposed to look like. And then start breathing down into the left side of your rib cage, left side of the upper body. One more deep breath in and out. And then bring your feet back onto the floor. This time walk the hips a little bit off towards the right side. Bring your knees over towards the left. Good. Maybe place your shoulders a little bit off towards the left as well to keep this right shoulder down. And then as long as it feels good, you could look over towards the right side, so away from the knees. This time the stretch will be a little bit more here on the right side of the body, but you might actually also feel it here down low in the left side as well, which is totally normal. Allow your shoulders to become really, really heavy here. One more breath in and out. And then inhale, walk the feet back onto the floor, tuck your tailbone again, and then bring the right ankle on the outside of the left knee. From here, with your arms, you'll reach through the legs, so the right arm will come through the legs. Either take hold of the back of the upper thigh, or if you can, reach for your chin or shin bone. And then very gently start pressing your left knee in towards you, while simultaneously pressing the right knee away from you. So both knees are going in opposite directions, which will create a nice stretch here along the right side of the hip. So your left knee moves in, right knee moves out. You want to flex the toes of both feet here to protect your knees, to keep them nicely aligned. And then breathe all the way down towards the outer right hip. Two more deep breaths. We're just working a little bit more on releasing the muscles of the hips here. Again, since they're all very tightly related or in correlation and relationship with the muscles of the back. And from here, gently release your feet. You keep the legs in the formation that they are, but you just allow them to kind of drop over towards the left side. So we're going into another twist here. Again, reach the arms sideways or bring them at a 90-degree angle. You have the option to stay here. If you want to take it a little bit further into your twist here, this time maybe just shove your top leg underneath the left one so the upper thighs are crossed. This will allow you to get even deeper into the twist here. Again, as long as it feels good for the upper back here and the neck, look over towards the right side and really allow gravity to pull the knees off towards the left side. There's a much deeper twist for your spine. Allow your spine to be twisted here, so see if you can release any tension from the muscles along the spine. Two more breaths. And Okay, you can keep them crossed, so the right leg is on top of the left one. With both hands, hug the knees in towards your chest. Give them a good squeeze in. And you should feel a bit of release in the hips here, especially the outer right hip. If you want to take it a little bit further, option 2, take hold of the outer edges of the feet and then very gently start pulling the feet in towards your face, so towards the back of the mat. And you want to make sure if you do this one that you don't feel any pain in your knees, especially the front knee here, the right one. So if you do, you just come back to your option 1. Breathing deeply, allow your shoulders to relax down here. And then our next inhale, uncross your legs. Bring your feet back down onto the floor, feet hip distance apart. From here, we'll bring the left ankle on the outside of the right knee. Pull the legs in towards you so the left arm comes through the legs. Either take hold of the back of the thigh or the shin bone. And then again, knees are following or moving in opposite directions. The right knee moves in, left knee moves out. So by doing this, you should feel a nice stretch in the outside here of the left hip. And then once you're in the pose, don't forget to relax those shoulders down again. See if you can even soften the muscles of your face. And next exhale, release the legs again, twist over towards the right side. So again, keeping the legs here in the formation that they are, just imagine that they're glued together. Just allow them to drop over towards the right side. You can extend the arms out sideways again or at a right angle, and then press this top leg underneath the bottom one to go just a little bit deeper. Again, both shoulders down, so if you have to, walk this right shoulder a little bit more off to the right to bring the left shoulder down. Once you're down into the pose, imagine that your breath could free up the spine. So breathing all along the length of the spine here, all the way towards the bottom vertebra, the bottom spinal discs. Allow your ribcage to be pulled over towards the left side. Allow the hips to be pulled over to the right. In. Again, the left one is crossed on top here. Take hold of both knees, pull them in towards you. Nice big squeeze in. This is your option 1. Option 2, take hold of the feet and very gently pull them in towards you. And notice how the knees are feeling here. If you feel any kind of pinching sensation in the knees, just back off out of the pose, or you could go to your option 1. Gently release the legs again. We're going to rock forward towards the front of the mat. So just take hold of the backs of the thighs, roll back first to create some momentum, and then roll all the way forward. Good. You can cross your legs here, and then from here, just walk the hands out in front of you, roll all the way over the knees towards your tabletop. From your tabletop position, so from or with the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the wrists, we're just gonna walk our hands forward and come to a puppy pose. So rest your forehead down towards the floor, firmly press the fingertips into the mat here. And then we're gonna work on creating length in the spine. So try to create as much space in between your vertebrae as you can. And see if you can press the insides of the thighs back towards the wall behind you. Next inhale, walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Good. From here, next inhale, reach your right arm up. On the exhale, bring the right arm underneath the left one. So thread your arm under, bring your shoulder and your ear down. Option to stay here. If you want to, you can walk your left arm forward and then walk it over towards the right side to create an extra stretch here on the outside of the left upper body. Or you can bring that hand behind you, reach for the inside of the right upper thigh, bringing a bit of a twist into it. So whatever feels good to you. You just want to make sure that you're activating your lower arm here. So firmly press your arm into the floor. Again, keep reaching the insides of the thighs back towards the wall behind you. This will help you create length throughout the low back. Next inhale, lift yourself back up. Come back to all fours. Inhale, reach your left arm up, look up to your thumb. Exhale, thread the arm underneath your right one. Bring your shoulder and your ear down. Option 1, walk the right hand forward and then off towards the left side. Your hand to the fingertips here. Or option 2, bring that right hand behind you, take hold of the left inner thigh. So whatever feels best for you here. We'll just take a few nice deep breaths. Again, make sure you keep pressing your lower arm, your left arm down into the floor. Last deep breath in and out. Next inhale, walk the hands back underneath you. Really good. From here, walk your hands about one palm forward, so they're just in front of the shoulders. Start gripping your fingers into the mat as if you're holding on to a round object, and just make sure here that your hands are shoulder width apart still. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees off of the floor, and then press your hips back. Keep your knees bent. So we're going for a bit of a variation here in our downward dog. You want to press your chest towards your knees here. So keeping the knees bent, see if you can bring the chest closer to the knees, bridging that gap in between them. This will help you create a lot of length through the spine, and then keep pressing your hips back. Good. From here, see if you can release your heels towards the floor, stretching out the legs. Just keep the upper body where it is, so you're not shifting in the upper body. You keep that length going. 2 more breaths. And press the backs of the thighs back towards the wall behind you. You could also imagine the inner thighs here kind of reaching back to the back wall. Alright, next inhale, just bring your right leg straight up towards the ceiling, 3-legged dog. Keep reaching the inside of the right upper thigh up and back, so don't allow this right upper thigh to roll out. Keep the hips nicely squared. Our next exhale, bring the right knee in towards your chest, roll forward, step the right foot forward. Alright, from here, firmly plant your hands down onto the floor if you can't reach. You could also come into your fists, so bring yourself a bit higher, maybe use your blocks, whatever helps you. So we're in a high lunge with our legs. You want to plug the right leg back into the hip socket, and you'll want to kind of imagine the left inner thigh kind of spinning under and up towards the ceiling. From here, start pressing the hips down while you keep reaching the left heel back. Open your chest, so maybe start looking forward. Just make sure you're not dipping through the hips here, so keep the... Wait, that doesn't make any sense. What did I just say? Just make sure that you're not releasing that tension in your left leg, which will result in your knee bending. So keep the left leg straight. Keep opening your chest. So imagine reaching your heart kind of forward and up. You should feel a bit of a release here at the front of the left thigh. And on the exhale, bring the knee down. Really good. Press your hips down towards the floor. Just make sure that you're not rolling the hips in or out, so the hips stay nicely squared. And then imagine that you're trying to drag your heels together. So you should feel quite stable in the legs. From here, make sure your right hand or your left hand is right underneath the left shoulder. Start spinning your chest open towards the right side, and then reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Now again, make sure that this left hip is not kind of turning all the way in. So keep lifting the left hip up. So you create a nice spinal twist here. On the exhale, bring the right hand back down, step your right foot back, come towards a plank position, take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, shift away forward, maybe first come through the knees, we'll just come all the way down to the floor. So come down however you want, untuck your toes. Hands are right alongside the lower ribs here. Press the elbows in towards the body. Press through all 10 toes, lift your kneecaps. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, come back down. We'll repeat that 2 more times. Inhale, baby cobra. Keep pressing through the toes. Exhale, down. Inhale, up, baby cobra. And exhale, downward dog. Really good. Okay, we'll mirror that on the other side. So on the inhale, lift your left leg straight up. Again, keeping your hips squared, so don't allow this left hip to roll open. Keep pressing the inside of the left thigh back and up. And then our next exhale, bring the left knee towards your chest, roll forward, step the left foot forward. We'll first come to a high lunge here. See if you can plant both hands down. You have a right angle in your front leg here, so about 90 degrees. And then you want to make sure that this back leg is not soggy, and I'm not sure if soggy is the right word. You're going to make sure that it's engaged, so press the back heel back. See if you can even press the back of the kneecap up towards the ceiling, and then bring your hips down towards the floor without releasing the engagement in the back leg. So the combination of those things should ensure that you feel a stretch through the front of the right hip. One more deep breath in. Exhale, release the right knee down. Again, check that your right hand is underneath the right shoulder. Inhale, open up towards the left side. So again, we're creating a twist in the spine here. The right hip, again, will have a tendency to dip down a little bit. It's normal, so you don't want to kind of like over press the hip up towards the ceiling. There is a bit of natural movement in the hips, obviously, as the spine moves. You just want to make sure that you're not doing this, okay? So try to keep the integrity here in the hips. So pressing the right hip a little bit up. And on the exhale, bring the right hand back down. Come through your vinyasa. So first a plank, deep breath in. Exhale, shift the weight forward, come all the way down, maybe first through the toes or through the knees. Inhale, baby cobra or full cobra, and exhale, down dog. Good. We'll repeat that sequence again. We're just going to add a little bit more stuff to it, more poses. So on the inhale, reach the right leg up. This time bend the right knee and then open the hips towards the right side. So imagine that there's a wall on the left side of your mat, and you're going to try to press both hips towards that wall. So the right hip comes over the left one. Now from the moment that you do that motion, your shoulders will have a tendency to kind of open up as well. See if you can press a little bit more through the right hand to bring the right shoulders in alignment with the floor again. Good. On the exhale, bring the right knee back in between the hands. The right foot. Bring the left knee down. Good. Inhale, twist open towards the right side. Good. Deep breath in. You have the option to stay here. If you want to go a little bit further in the hip flexors of your left thigh, what you could do is reach your right hand back, bring the left foot in, and then grab onto the left foot with the right hand. Now, if you can't fully reach the foot here, this is where your strap will come in handy. You'll kind of lasso it around the back foot and then pull it in that way. Now you want to make sure here, whenever you use your hands to pull body parts in, that you're very gentle with yourself. Since this is more of a mechanical movement, you want to make sure that you don't force yourself too deep into the pose. On the exhale, gently release the left foot again. Bring your right hand on the inside of the right foot. Now walk the right foot out. Bring the right hand just a little bit out again so that it's right underneath your shoulder. So you have the option to stay here if you already feel a good stretch through the hip flexors and the right hip. You could stay here. Maybe walk the hands away from you. Press your chest down. See how that feels. Stay here for about 3 more breaths. You just want to make sure that you don't allow this right knee to open up to the side. So you keep hugging the right knee in towards you. One more deep breath in and out. And then we'll walk the hands back towards you. From here, we'll walk the hands over towards the left side of the mat. Lift the left knee off of the floor. Come to a wide stance with the legs. So both feet are parallel to one another. You could even bring the toes a little bit more in than the heels to create even more grip. So allow the upper body to hang heavy. Come towards a wide standing forward fold. Allow the shoulders and the neck to release here so your head is heavy. Good, 2 more breaths. Lift to a halfway lift. You can come high onto the fingertips or just have your palms down. You'll bring your left hand right underneath your face, and at this point you could take a block if it's quite hard to bring the hands down without bending the knees. So you could bring a block down, however, which height helps you the best here. You just want to make sure the legs stay straight and you can bring your palm straight onto either the mat or the block. So the hand is right underneath your face. From here, we'll start opening to the front of the mat. So twist your shoulders open towards the front. Reach your right arm up. And see if you can press a little bit more through the back foot here. A lot of times here, the hips will have a tendency to open up towards the front again. So the left hip will dip down, right hip will kind of hike up. So to combat that, you'll press more through the left foot to keep the hips leveled, to create a bit more of a better spinal twist. On the exhale, bring your right hand down. Your right hand will come right where the left one was, so right underneath your face, either onto the mat or onto a block. Start spinning your chest open towards the back of the mat. Reach your left arm up. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, see if you can allow the hips to relax a little bit more. Relax the hamstrings, backs of the thighs, and exhale, bring the hand back down. From here, walk the hands over towards the right side. Keep the feet where they are. You'll walk your left hand as far away from you as you can to create a nice stretch all along the left side of the upper body. See if you can bring your chest down towards the right upper thigh. 2 more breaths. Bring your weight a little bit more into the toes rather than the heels. And then on the next exhale, walk through the middle, go all the way over towards the left side here. Again, walk this right hand as far away from you as you can, and then bring your chest towards the back thigh. Exhale, come back through the middle. This time I'll walk the hands away from us so they're way in front of the shoulders. It's kind of like a very wide-legged downward dog. Press your chest down towards the floor to create a nice amount of length in the upper body. Again, most of the weight here is still in the front part of the feet. And our next inhale, walk the hands back in. Walk them all the way forward towards the front of the mat. Step the right foot back. Come towards your plank. Deep breath in. Exhale, come all the way down. Again, maybe first through the knees, untuck the toes. Inhale, baby cobra, full cobra, or up dog. And exhale, down dog. From here on the next inhale, lift your left leg straight up. This time we're going to an open hip to variation, if that's even a word. Bend the left knee, open the hips towards the left side at this time. So imagine that there is a wall behind you or next to you here on the right side of the mat, and you're trying to press the hips down onto that wall. Again, correct your shoulders by pressing more through the left hand. We're creating another spinal twist. And on the exhale, bring your left leg forward. Step the left foot in between the hands. Bring the right knee down. Good, we'll come to a twist here. So right hand nicely underneath the right shoulder. Inhale, open up towards the left side. 2 nice deep breaths. I'm gonna make sure you don't allow the right hip to dip all the way down. Keep some integrity through the right hip. And then if you want to take it further, just reach your left hand behind you. See if you can take hold of the right foot. Again, if the foot is still a little bit too far away from you, you can grab your strap, loop it around your foot, and then this way kind of pull the foot in towards you. Holding it for 2 more breaths. And then exhale, gently release. Bring the left hand on the inside of the left foot. Walk the left foot out. Left hand will come right underneath the left shoulder. Good. We'll stay here for a little bit. Again, creating length through the spine. So open your chest forward. Press the hips down. You have the option to stay here. If you want to take a little bit further, walk the hands away from you. Dip your chest down towards the floor. 2 more breaths. And gently on the exhale, walk the hands back in. Walk the hands all the way over towards the right side of the mat. Come back to your wide forward fold. Again, both feet are parallel to one another. On the exhale, gently release the upper body again. Just relax the arms, the head, the shoulders. Just a few nice deep breaths. See if you can bring your weight a little bit forward into the toes here, which will protect the tendons and the ligaments of your hips. And on the inhale, come back to a halfway lift. Again, take your block if you have to. We'll come back to those twists. So having the block underneath you, underneath your face if you know that you're going to need it. Bring your left hand right underneath your face. Inhale, really lengthen through the spine. So imagine the crown of your head reaching forward. On the inhale, open up towards the back of the mat. So right arm is kind of reaching up towards the ceiling here. Now you want to make sure that your hips don't move with the shoulders. So don't allow this left hip to dip down too much. It will have a tendency, or it's very normal for it to dip down just a little bit, but you don't want it to be too exaggerated. So press more weight back into the front leg here, the left leg. Exhale, bring the right hand down where the left one was. Inhale, open up towards the front of the mat this time. Keep pressure through both feet to keep your hips balanced and stable. And again, lengthening through the spine. You'll notice that a lot of times one side is a little bit more open than the other, which is totally normal. And then exhale, bring it back down. Good. Release down towards the floor. This time, option to stay here or just bring your arms through the legs, the fingertips pointing away from you, and the hands are shoulder width apart. Once you're here with the hands, start pulling your chest through the legs or towards the space in between the legs. Allow your head to be heavy. Again, a little bit more weight into the toes rather than the heels. And then walk the hands all the way forward. We're skipping the sideways ones here. Just press your chest down. Putting a lot of length through the spine. And our next inhale, walk the hands back in. From here, walk them forward, come through your vinyasa, or you can skip it if you just want to go straight to down dog. And then we'll all meet in downward dog. Really good. From here on the next inhale, bend your knees, take your hips back, look forward, take little steps towards the front of the mat. Once you're all the way at the front of the mat, just bring your hips to, or your feet to hip distance apart. Bend your knees, see your hips back. Allow the upper body to be really heavy here. And with every inhale, see if you can press your hips a little bit higher up towards the ceiling to straighten the legs just a little bit more with every inhale. And until you feel like the hamstrings no longer allow you to go any further. That's about where you stay. And then if you want to take it further into the chest, reach the hands behind you, interlace the fingers. See if you can keep the palms together for this one. Stretch out the arms and then press the arms overhead. See if you can release any tension from the fronts of the shoulders. Exhale, bring both hands down. Walk the hands, or the feet better, towards the outside edges of the mat. Heels in, toes out. Bring your hips down. Come to Malasana, low squat. So palms together, the elbows are into the knees. And here the hips are grounding down, but they're also moving forward through the legs. Your shoulders are kind of reaching back and up. So you want to create space in between the vertebrae of your spine here. See if you can bring a little bit more weight onto the outer edges of the feet. And on the exhale, bring the hands down and walk the feet a little bit closer in. I'm gonna change perspective so you guys can see exactly what's going on here. You wanna come high onto your tippy toes. You wanna have your heels underneath your sits bones. So your heels will be about hip distance apart, or in the sense that they're right underneath the sits bones. So a little bit closer actually than hip distance apart. You'll have your knees turned out. And then all you'll do is the hips stay low, close to the heels. You'll just walk hands away from you so that your chest and your shoulders come in between the knees. Allow your head to hang heavy. From here, press your knees in towards the shoulders. This will help you create a better stretch through the spine. If you want to take it further, walk the hands behind you. You can clasp them together behind the heels. Again, pressing the knees in to the shoulders. Release any tension from the hips here, allowing the hips to become heavy. And the exhale, bring the hips back down, all the way towards the floor. Come to sit down. Very good. We only have a few more to go here. So we'll go into half hero pose, which is extremely good at releasing the psoas and the hip flexors. So we'll start with the left side. You'll bring your left foot outside of the left hip. So the sole of the foot is pointing up towards the ceiling. The heel is just outside of the left hip. And you want to make sure here that the twist comes from the upper thigh, not from the knee. So what you could do to help that is take hold of the flesh of the upper thigh and kind of spin it in. Or you could also grab hold of the flesh here in the crease and kind of work it up, so that you're sure that the motion is coming from the hip, not from the knee. All right? You have your right foot out in front of you, just with the foot down. Walk the hands behind you, fingertips pointing forward. Open the chest, press the elbows together. And just see how this feels for the left groin, the upper thigh. If you want to go a little bit further, maybe come onto the elbows. Maybe press your hips a little bit under. See how that feels. If you don't feel a lot, or you want to go a little bit deeper, you can come all the way down onto your back. You just want to make sure that your knee stays grounded into the floor. So if it's way up like this, it means that you're not ready yet for this modification. So come one higher up. And then as always in this pose, you want to make sure that you never feel any kind of pain in the knee. If you do, again, come one modification up. If you still feel it, just skip the pose altogether for today. Bring the arms alongside the body. If you're in option 3 here, relax all the way down. Again, deep breaths. And then see if you can release the muscles at the front of the left thigh, the muscles in the left groin area, by breathing towards them. So using the breath to create space in those muscles. And about 4 more deep breaths. Last 2. And then gently move back through the modifications back to a seated position. This time we'll switch over to the other side. So just bring your knee a little bit in, to step it forward, then bring the right heel on the outside of the right hip. Again, the motion here is coming from the upper thigh and the hip, not from the knee. So what you could do is either hold on to the thigh and spin it under, or you could take hold of the flesh on the outside of the upper thigh and pull it up, just to make sure that the kind of rolling in motion is coming from the hip, not from the knee. Very important here. Step your left foot down onto the floor very comfortably. Walk the hands behind you, fingertips again pointing forward. Press the elbows together, open the chest, creating length through the spine. Take a moment to check in with your right leg, see how it feels. If you don't feel a whole lot going on, maybe bring yourself a bit lower onto the elbows. Again, tucking the tailbone here to be able to go deeper into the stretch. And then maybe coming all the way down to modification 3. So coming all the way down onto the floor. So just find an option that feels good for you. And again, once you found your option, a whole lot of breathing here. Psoas, which is the muscle that we're stretching right now, the muscle group that we're stretching, is notorious for holding on to stress. So just notice if this pose feels uncomfortable, just become aware of it. See if you can release resistance to the pose. Again, as long as it's not painful. If it's painful, then get the hell out of that pose. But if it's just discomfort, then see if you can breathe through it. Last 3 breaths. And then on your next inhale, gently lift yourself back up to your seated position. Very good. Extend both legs out in front of you. Keep your straps somewhere close by if you want to, if you can't quite reach your toes yet. Now here you want to sit towards the front of the hips. So all I did is I pressed myself up, I pushed my hips back and my chest forward, so that I'm more onto the front of the sits bones rather than the back of the hips. See if you can flex your toes. Inhale, reach your arms up, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold forward. Keep that length in your spine as you reach forward. Again, if you can't hold on to the toes, no problemo. We have a strap here, or you could have a towel or anything else. Very gently start pulling yourself forward. Again, making sure that you don't pull too hard here. You can bring all of your mental awareness towards the backs of the thighs. Allow them to soften and to melt down towards the floor. You can imagine the front of the upper body, your belly, your chest becoming heavy, wanting to sink down towards the legs. Tension from the hips, even from the shoulders. Last 2 deep breaths. And inhale, gently come back up, throw your strap to the side. This time take hold of your block. First scoot your hips forward actually. Now take hold of your block, roll all the way down onto your back. Have your feet walked into your hips here, feet hip distance apart. And then take your block. You can play around with the different heights of the block. You could start out on the lower setting, or the second one, or the third one, just depending on how flexible you are in the back and whatever feels best for the low back and the fronts of the thighs. So I would say start out with number 1 and work your way up. So you just want to place the block underneath your hips here, underneath your sacrum, so the broad part of the hips that feel a little bit more flat, basically. And if you don't know how to find that and you have a hard time feeling it with your fingers, another trick is to, with your index fingers, to bring them to the highest points here at the front of the hips, so the little bones that stick out. Try to find the highest point, put your finger right on there, and then travel your fingers straight down towards the floor. Now you should arrive in the middle of the block here. That's how you know that your block is positioned in the right spot underneath the hips. From here, just open your arms again, tuck your shoulder blades under, and just stretch your legs out. Good. Notice how this feels for the sacrum, so the tailbone. Notice how it feels for the low back, fronts of the thighs. You could decide to stay here for a few moments to kind of settle in. If you don't feel that going on and you want to go a little bit further, just walk the feet back in, come a little bit higher with your block. So just topple it over to a higher stand. Again, the block is on the flat part of the hips. You could use a trick with the fingers. It works for this height as well. And then walk the feet away again. Notice how this feels. We want to work here on releasing tension in the fronts of the thighs. So imagine the muscles at the front of the thighs and the front of the legs melting down towards the floor. Now you could allow your feet to release out to the side, so with the toes out, heels pointing in. For some people that doesn't feel that great in their sacrum and their tailbones, so you could just have your toes pointing straight up to the sky with the feet flexed. That might protect the sacrum a little bit more. See if you can create space in the fronts of the hips. Last 2 breaths. And then on the inhale, walk the feet back in towards you. Lift your hips up, put your block off to the side, come down. Now if you feel like taking a little bit of a break before going into Shavasana, if you feel some kind of tingly sensation in your low back, what you could do is kind of knock your knees together. So you walk the feet out. You want to make sure the low back is flat onto the floor. So you walk the hips a little bit forward, you bring them down, and then you knock your knees together. This is a really good release for the low back. If you felt a little bit of muscle spasms in the low back, it means that you went just a little bit too far with the last pose. Just keep that in mind for next time. Now, once you feel like you're good here, you can come straight to Shavasana. I'll stay here for about 4 to 5 minutes. So take some time to make yourself comfortable before you commit to this position. And once you feel like you're laying in the perfect Shavasana for you, see if you can move your body as little as possible for the next few minutes. So resist the urge to move around, and resisting the urge will actually allow you to go deeper into this pose. Take your last mindful breath in and out through your nose, and then just let go of the breath. Allow it to go back to its natural rhythm. Imagine your whole body sinking down into the take a moment to become aware of your own body laying down on the floor. Notice your toes, your fingertips. Notice the legs, the hips, forearms, the upper arms. Notice your belly and your back, your chest, your shoulders, your neck, and your head. Allow everything to still be heavy, but just gently guide your breath deeper into your lungs. Notice how the breath introduces a sense of lightness in the body. Notice how you can use the breath as a tool to gently wake up the body without having to move it. Now once your breath is nice and deep, just imagine that you could breathe all the way down into your toes, into the fingertips, and up to the crown of your head. So you're breathing through the whole body. You could even hold little pauses in between the inhales and the exhales. Notice the space, the silence in between the breaths. And once you feel like you're ready for it, you can start to make small motions with your fingers and your toes first. Small little movements. Maybe you can hear some cracking of the toes. Allow that movement to creep up towards your wrists, your ankles, your elbows, up the joints, up the body, until your whole body is moving. And then reach the arms overhead, bring your legs back together, point your toes even if you want to, stretch the whole body. On the exhale, bring your knees into your chest, give them a good squeeze in. And then gently roll onto your side to come up to a seated position. Now see if you can challenge yourself and do this with your eyes closed. Come either to a cross-legged position or to sit onto your heels, whatever is most comfortable to you. Release your palms down onto your thighs. Could be with the palms facing down, palms facing up, whatever speaks to you most. And then just a few more moments here to bring the awareness back to your breath. Notice how the whole body is feeling. Notice your hips, your low back, your shoulders, your neck. Notice all the different sensations in the body. And then notice your mental world. Notice your thoughts, your emotions. If there's not really any particular thoughts, just notice the absence of the thoughts. And gently bring the hands together in front of the heart, Anjali Mudra. Crack open your eyes. Namaste. You guys have made it through the end of the practice. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you to relieve any kind of discomfort in the low back, and that you just feel a little bit more flowy and juicy in the body in general. So if you did, please leave a comment down below or just talk about it in the Yoga Flow Library Tribe on Facebook. And I will see you guys for the next one. Bye bye.